record. Okay, so what we did latest, or let me tell you what I did latest here. Okay, so I automated a new test case. That test case I put inside search. That test case ID is test case 004. By the way, if you can notice, I am putting tags also. So for each feature file, I am putting two tags. One represent that this is a UI, because in this framework we have API test cases also, right? So one tag is for UI, second tag is for the module, and the third tags is for the test case. It is a R at the test cases level, and they are for test cases, right? So this is test case number 4. I have to supposed to be putting something here as well, but I will just find out, put it. For test case 4, I have written here. What is this? This is the test case ID which I am fetching from here. And this is a very, very standard practice in real-time project, wherein you kind of tags your test cases, because it becomes easy for you to look in the reports for this specific result of this test case. And because in extend report, as well as if you are using some other report, these tags are displayed at the bottom or at the top. So just by looking at that tag, and when you click on that tag, the report of that specific test case will be displayed, right? So it's always a good practice, to put, tag your test cases like this. Maybe I will show you as well, perhaps. Test output. Let me see if I can see a report here. You see this kind of list you can get. If you will, let's say you have tagged all your test cases, you have 100 test cases, you have tagged all your test cases. So you don't have to look for your test case result, just by navigating here and there. All you can do is to go to category and check for your test case, and you click on it and you will see the result. And that is where this tagging is important. Any questions on this tagging? Okay. Now, and I think I explained why we use these tags. These tags are kind of used for grouping of your structuring of your test cases. Each scenario here is actually a test case, and usually tags are used here, right? Used here to to make your runner file aware what needs to be executed. Usually when you actually have to run all your test cases, you don't really mention that low level tags. You only mention UI. So in this case, for example, if I want to run a UI test case, all I would mention is @UI. So it will run all the feature files which are tagged with UI. And that is how we have structured our framework. So what we have 3 tag levels, and this can be also be an interview question. How many tags do we have? How many different types of tags do we have? So you can say we have 3 level of tags. One is we use for representing what is UI and what is API. So @UI and @API. Second is for the modules. So search, add to cart, home page, checkout, payments. So these are your different tags for representing different modules. And third is your low level test case level tags. So each test case is tagged with its relevant test case ID, which is present in the QA Touch or test management tool. Okay, and that is how we are going to manage these tags. And it's usually is a very good practice to do it. So I think you all should be doing it. Now let me go back here, and I was checked. Yes, Sarah.
Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah.
But if in some companies, or you had already earlier said कि Jira tickets भी use करते हैं ID,
Exactly.
ID,
yes.
तो
yes.
वो कौन से level पे use करेंगे?
Right. So
in our scenario.
Right. It's a good question. So sometimes what happens, you have Jira. Right now we are not using Jira, but we are supposed to be doing it. But for now we don't have it. So we are assuming that we have a Jira ID 3456. Now inside this Jira ID, let's say you have a detail, something like this. Detail says, search functionality. Okay. Now inside the search functionality, there are some details present here. Some details can be, it could be a wide detail, it could be a small detail. Wide detail can be everything about search functionality. In that case, this becomes an epic. Okay, so Jira has different categorizations, I should say. One is if if the description is a bigger description, a complete functionality level description, you say it's an epic. Now epic, inside epic, you can have multiple stories. So let's say this is an epic 3456, and inside this we have multiple stories. right? So multiple stories can be something like this story that also will be a Jira ID only. So let's say this is a Jira ID and its description is search text box, search via search text box. Okay, then let's say you have another story inside this. You will say story Jira search by hamburger menu. Okay, okay, so parent Jira is this, then under this Jira you have these subsequent stories, right? So this will be you can create a separate feature file for this and tag it here. For example, this whole is about search functionalities. You can say @Jira 3456. Why I'm doing this? Because this search functionality is representing my complete Jira epic, and these test cases are, since these are story, that small piece of functionality, I can actually write the sub level stories here like this. And let's say if this is something like this 4567, I can say @4567. Okay, so Jira IDs can be assigned. By saying this example, all I want to explain is Jira IDs can also be used as a tag depending on what that Jira ID is representing. If that Jira ID is representing a full module or a full functionality, it should be tagged as at the top, at the feature level. If it is a small functionality which represents a test case, you can tag it here. And even one Jira ID can represent, let's say, 5 test cases. This can also be possible, that there is a simple functionality, but that functionality you are dividing, you're testing that functionality with 5 set of test cases, right? And if that happens, then you have 5 test cases, and on top of each test case you will have the Jira ID like this. Okay, any doubt here so far? I know few people who have never seen Jira, maybe they might have some issues understanding it, but the majority of you, I think, have seen Jira because we used to do it earlier, right? So since you already know there are Jira IDs, and those IDs you can use it as tags. I hope you understood what I'm trying to say. If not, then you can just ask. We can talk about it again.
Hello.
Yes.
Sir, while in the interview, shall we mention that we are using Jira or QA Touch?
You should be saying we are using QA Touch for sure, because we are actually using it. You should not be saying that we are using Jira because you are not doing it.
Okay, sir.
Okay. I am planning to expose you guys to another project management tool, not Jira, because Jira is actually only for 7 days or 1 month, and then we struggle a lot with it. I actually finalized a tool, but I couldn't got time to explore it further and to properly project it for you. But maybe soon enough we will do that. But Jira, just don't say Jira. We'll talk about some other different tool. Task management tool can be different. We are not using Jira for now. So all you would say is we are not tagging it with any Jira IDs. We are only tagging it with the test case IDs.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
So don't mention Jira, otherwise few more questions and you could end up in trouble unnecessarily.
Okay, sir.
Okay, cool. So if no further question on this, then let me just remove it from here. So this test case which I automated was actually present here. It's test case number 4. So I'll come to my where is it? Why? 1 minute, guys. Can you guys see my screen? Okay, so I automated which test case number 4, which is present inside search. Search, or where is it? Let me see. Home page. Where did it go? Let me click all test cases. And guys, it's really very, very, I felt very good by seeing these many test cases added. It's a good thing you guys added it. I reviewed many of them, and they looks good to me. So good observation, good test case writing, I guess. Only one thing here is let me go back. When you go and create test cases here, it's good that you use add case BDD. So you guys are using either exploratory case or add test case text. I would recommend use add case BDD. It's not difficult to do. It's very simple. All you have to do is to mention feature files and all, because that is what we need to convert our test case into, right? So we are actually writing in BDD. So it's better when that you write your test cases like this, because that way it will be more detailed. You can think in the BDD mindset. Okay, so when next time you add a test case, you add it in a BDD, or you can also try planning, or you can actually try writing the existing test case which you have written here in a BDD format. And if you're writing a test case in a BDD, let's say this test case is already there, you are writing this, it's BDD format, then you can just reject it. Okay, we will just reject it so that we don't have duplicate test cases. Okay, so just remember this thing. Let me go back here, all test case. So I automated test case number 4, hamburger menu feature validation. The thing is, the functionality is very, very simple. Let me explain you that. So hamburger menu feature, click on the hamburger menu, categories are displayed, then click on a subcategory, subcategories are displayed, and then click on a subcategory and the results are displayed. So it's something like this, which is if I click here, this should be displayed. Then I click on any existing, for example, mobile and computers, then this list will be displayed. And then if I click on, let's say this, then power banks will be displayed. So first step is, for any test case, since this test case is written in a very simplistic format, text format, I converted this into a BDD format. This is how I have written. So search for products using hamburger menu in the header section, or you can also write something like this: user wants to search for products. Now this looks better. So the way we write test case in BDD is we put more details in it. We try to make it more readable and more elaborate, right? So here when I say search for products, it's okay, it's not wrong. But when I say user wants to search, it is kind of more inclusive. We are including the user. So when someone reads user wants to search for products, it makes more sense. It's a complete sentence, and that's what I want to say. Then given I have browser open and URL is navigated, this I already reused because it was already there. We already had a step definition for this, so I reused it. When I click on hamburger menu, I click on hamburger menu with category as this. And when I click on hamburger menu with subcategory as this, then search results are displayed. Now, this is not the only way of writing a test case. You can choose to write your own descriptions. Okay, right now what I did is I said given is this. And when I click on a hamburger menu, and now this and becomes a when, because that's how I have written in the step definition. So all these three things, when, and they all are when actually. So when I do this, when I do this, when I do this, then this is what has happened. So this becomes my validations, this becomes my prerequisite, and this becomes my what I wish to do with it. As I said, you choose to write your own descriptions, but that the description should be reusable. It should be lucid enough to understand. It should not be very, very complicated, or you should not merge two things together, right? So I could have also done this, right? Instead of doing this, I could have said this. Or maybe few of you can try to do this as well. When I click on hamburger and I click on this, this is not wrong, but this is better. Okay, because I am breaking my steps. The more modular your steps are, the better its reusability becomes. So it's always better in BDD, it's always better to divide your scenarios in a proper or very, very modular or very, very small chunks, small pieces, rather combining two things. It's always better to divide it and then make use of it. So first I've written the scenario. By the way, I've already automated this test case. All I'm doing is to, explain it. So in this test case, in this step, if I go inside this, it's simple. Here all I'm doing is invoking the driver. And after invocation, I'm putting that driver inside my set driver. So in the text context UI, using this dependency injection concept, I'm putting in this driver inside this. I hope everyone is now good with this. Everyone has the concept about this dependency injection test, context UI. Everyone is clear. We are using this for passing the variables or objects to one step definition to other step definition, preserving their states. If you're not, then you can really watch the previous videos, or you can let me know. I can also try to explain it again, because it's a very important topic. Then let me go back. When I click on hamburger menu, so before I do this clicking stuff, I would have to actually add the objects in my page object model file, isn't it? So that is what I did. I added this object hamburger menu link here. So nav hamburger menu, it's very simple. The ID was present. So all I did was just added the ID. So this ID was there. This ID and nav hamburger menu, I just used it here. Okay. Now the real discussion now comes, or real problem statement which is at hand is this one. So when I click on hamburger menu with category with as mobile and computer, see this is what I wanted to explain today. Now the thing is, here if I click on this and if I hover on a specific element, there are many elements, by the way, and I want to have this dynamism present in my script. So next time, let's say someone don't want to search for mobile computers. Here right now I have written mobile and computer. Let's say someone wants to search for beauty, health, grocery, right? So all he is supposed to be doing is modify this, and he should not be going into the code and make some changes, right? So I need to provide that kind of reusability and dynamism at runtime, right? So that's the reason I cannot just add these elements directly. So I cannot just say, okay, add this element and then I will just click on it. That will be a static way of doing it. So to achieve this dynamism, I have done something. What that something is, let me go here. So what I did, I created a method, click on hamburger menu product category. So I am calling this as category, and when I click on this, what we see here is subcategories. That is what I'm seeing this. So this is my category, this is my subcategory. Now, right now I'm into product category here. Now what I need to do, I need to find the XPath for this. So the way I have found XPath is, so I'll click here. Let's say I want to search XPath for Amazon Prime Video. If I look here, I don't see anything which is unique to it. So H menu item is a class, data menu ID is 5, but this is not uniquely identifying my element called as Amazon Prime Video. So I have to make use of its text, which is this, okay, and which is actually coming inside a div. Okay, so let me show you how I would write its XPath. Let me remove it. So first thing is, now since this is another, you can say it's a hover or a pop-up which has come after I click on hamburger menu. So I will just click on this. Then I will just go a little bit at the top and I will say, what is the parent of all these elements? So first of all, I will need to find the parent of this, because the text can be common across all the pages. I cannot just say, let's say I want to search for Amazon Prime Video. I cannot just say, look for a link whose text is Amazon Prime Video or something, right? So I don't want to search it in all the pages, because if you have seen my last videos on XPath, this / means find it anywhere, a link whose text is Amazon Prime, right? I don't want to do it. What I want is that first I will locate that this element which is coming here has to be inside a parent which is coming after I click on hamburger menu. So first I need to find its parent, which is this. No, not this, sorry. Which is H menu container. Okay, so first what I'll do, I'll just try to find this. So I will write here, find a div whose ID is this. So I'm able to find it. That's only one such element. Then I'm saying inside this find anywhere. Inside this find anywhere. That's why I'm writing /. Remember, double slashes are used to find anywhere. Find anywhere at another div whose text is equal to Amazon Prime Video, which is this. Guys, video is going to get over soon. I'm going to send a new link after this. So now I am able to find it. Okay, so here I am making use of 2 double slashes, guys. That is what I want to mention here, that 2 double slashes are used one after another. This is used to find this div anywhere in the document. And once it is found, then inside this element, find anywhere with a div where whose text is Amazon Prime Video, and this is how I am able